This is how a collenchyma tissue you will observe under microscope. Just see the cells. The cells are anyway irregularly shaped. Okay, some are oval, some are conjoined. And each cell is having kind of vacuole at the center, prominent vacuole like the parenchyma tissue only. If we observe in between the cells, you're having spaces called intercellular spaces that we discussed in the parenchyma tissue, isn't it? Now, if you observe each cell, around each cell, you're having some thickening. The cell wall is thickened when compared to each and every cell. Thickenings are not regular even. See, some are having dark thickenings and some are having light thickenings. So the major characteristic feature of collenchyma is irregular thickening of the cells. In between the cells, you can observe the irregular thickening. It's not regular. It's not uniform, isn't it? So why so? Why the collenchyma tissue causes cells which have very uneven thickening in the cell walls? That is something related to the functional aspect of collenchyma. In the previous slide, we discussed the parenchyma tissue where we talked about the big vacuole for storage purpose, like the chlorenchyma or arenchyma, storing chlorophyll or water, something like that. Yes, extracellulose. Cell wall is made up of cellulose. That's why you are saying extracellulose are now. Is that your point? Okay.
And there are extracellulose at the corners of the cells in collenchyma.
No, actually those are not cellulose. Those thickenings, we call them as pectin is there. What's the use of pectin? Let's see. Pectin, first see what is pectin. Pectin is a carbohydrate. Okay. It's a carbohydrate almost similar to sugar. And the pectin you find at the cell walls of all parenchyma tissue randomly. Why the pectin tissue is there in collenchyma? That's the point of interest. Okay. Now, when you take an example of apple fruit, when the apple is not totally ripened, means it will be somewhat in green color. The outer coat of apple will be very hard. But when apple gets ripened, the tissue inside the fruit becomes softened and you could easily able to bite and chew the apple fruit when once it gets ripened. But at unripe stage, you cannot bite easily because it will have hard texture at outside. So how that change is coming when an apple ripens? That is the function of collenchyma tissue where we talk about pectin. Pectin is a carbohydrate you usually find in fruits and flowers. For example, in this point, we took apple fruit. The raw apple fruit, which is not totally ripened, the pectin at the walls will be thickened. But once the pectin gets dissolved at the walls of the collenchyma tissue, the fruit gets ripened and it gives soft texture to the fruit. So in that way, pectin increases the softness of fruits or flowers. For example, if you take the apple fruit, the soft texture is because of the solubilized pectin in the collenchyma of the apple fruit. Hope I'm clear with pectin collenchyma tissue application in apple fruit. What is pectin then?
It's a kind of carbohydrate.
It's a carbohydrate. Okay. Now, because of the pectin solubilization, you will get a soft texture to fruit. Now, I'll give you a question. Why even after ripening of guava fruit, still it will have hard texture?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, why the guava fruit still will carry the hard texture even after ripening? What could be the reason? Apple is pectin format there.
Ma'am, the pectin present gives it the hardness.
But what we are saying, once the fruit gets ripened, pectin solubilizes and gives soft texture. No,
Ma'am, I
yes,
think little amount of pectin is present.
will be left over. What you're trying to say? Okay, good try, good try. Then, okay. So here, what Akshayani said is half the way answer. So some part of the pectin may get dissolved and some part of the pectin may not get dissolved during the ripening of the fruit. Why it happens? Because this is here what we said, the pectin is irregularly arranged. Some cells will have more pectin and some cells will have less pectin. So if suppose the fruit is having less pectin at the cell walls, it gets easily solubilized and the fruit gets easily softened. But in case of guava, you have more irregular thickening of pectin at the cell walls of Collenchyma. Time or even after ripening also, the guava fruit, most of the guava fruits remain changed into completely soft ones. That's the analytic point you have to understand about the pectin role regarding Collenchyma in fruits, especially apple. They'll give an example for this application. Okay.